to the Sacred Siren Circle, a sacred space for soul-led women ready to reclaim their voice, remember their power, and rise in sisterhood. I am your host, Marni Benninger, mama, soulpreneur, rebirth alchemist, Ayurvedic guide, and sacred space holder for women who are done living in silence. Each week, we gather in this circle to share stories, tools, and transmissions that awaken your feminine fire and help you live, lead, and love in alignment. So take a breath, drop in, and let your sacred siren rise. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome back, my love. Or if this is your first time here, I'm so honored to be here with you today. And if you've found your way to the Sacred Sign Circle, it's a space for the woman who's ready to remember who she really is, to rise from silence into sovereignty, to lead from devotion, not depletion. And today we begin again. I've been quiet here for a while. I think it's been a couple months since I've had a post out or a podcast out. And this episode is the story really behind that silence. It's the burning, the reckoning, the rebirth that followed. And it's really how that the sacredness in that rest and in that it's the tower card in tarot that people are always so worried about, and it's really like burning it all down to be able to rise again, right? That phoenix rising out of the ash moment. And so really there was a moment, maybe you've had one too, where everything I thought I had built fell apart. So for those who've listened to previous podcast episodes, or if this is your first one, my marriage ended earlier this year, I think it's about 4 months now, after years of betrayal and me shrinking and performing to be who I thought he needed me to be in order to earn his love. And my businesses that I'd built up for 15 years in the last couple of years, there was a beautiful spa and cafe I had just given myself entirely into. I'd poured all of me into. It closed. I then filed for bankruptcy. And I didn't just lose my income. I didn't just lose my husband. I didn't just lose this family that I had built. I lost my identity. And so for the first couple months, I had all this energy and excitement, and it's still there, but I really I lost my rhythm, I lost my voice. And the last couple months, well, the boys have been off school for a month. I have 3 young boys. So that's part of it. And but I had to recalibrate. I was trying to hold it all together. With being that mama of 3, that single full-time mama of 3, and I did it. And I went on those soccer tournaments, and I did all of their school activities. In June was a lot. There was camping trips. There was year-end, performances. There was 3 soccer tournaments, I think, in June. There was so much that I was having to hold all together, but inside I was unraveling. I was unraveling, and I was breaking again. And so, I had to let myself break. I couldn't post. I couldn't teach. I couldn't lead. I didn't see any one-on-one clients. I just did one about a week ago, and another one yesterday, but I had to come back into me. I didn't even know who I was leading anymore. I wasn't the version of myself that I had been, the one who performed, who produced, who held it all together. I wasn't that one who put on the masks, who hustled through everything. I didn't have that in me anymore. And she had burned when I burned it all down. And in the ashes of all of that, that Phoenix Rising image is just so strong for me. It was this someone I hadn't met in a long time. And it was me. And I fully saw myself, finally, for the first time in at least probably 15 or 16 years. I really saw me. Now, I want to say this for those that might be going through this or who like know this is coming. The return didn't come overnight. So the business closed, the business is closed, but one closed, then a year later the next one closed, then I filed for bankruptcy, then my marriage fell apart, and so it was like over the last 4 or 5 years that there was like slow pieces of me coming back, really, when I set this intention, which was about 40, I think I'm about halfway through now, so it's about almost 45 days ago. I set this intention of this 90-day quantum leap timeline collapse, and I had already felt all these pieces coming back to me. And it was when I set that intention that things really started to shift. And that's why I think the last 45 days I've really been quiet. There's been so much brewing, but that return didn't come overnight. It was slow. It was cyclical. I've gone through a couple moon bleeds in these last couple times that were a lot more balanced and a lot more sacred and a lot more me really listening to myself. And I had to come back to the small things. I really had to come back to like, what did I need before I could be becoming the voice out into the world? So it was like having a cup of tea that was actually warm. It was going for that walk that was slow instead of exercise. I still do like exercise walk as well, but just really absorbing everything around me and really like listening to nature and just breathing into myself. It was coming back to my journaling, back to my cards. I really deeply came back to Ayurveda and the cycles and the seasons and the very basic like dinacharya, morning, daily, evening practices. Came back to breath work, came back to sisterhood, and I had to stop building from burnout. And I have now been burning from being. And so starting to build from this being place, my voice has come back, my body softened, my purpose, it came through in whispers, it came through in daily knowings, it came through in just these little things of like this and this. And those whispers then became louder. And the message that came through so clearly through the cards, through my ancestors, through the downloads was like, I am not alone in this. I'm not meant to carry it all. And it really ignited this next version of myself, this next being, these offerings that I'm making. And that it really came through as like, what if we didn't have to push through anymore? And I know I was teaching this, but there were still moments where I was pushing through. If I was on my bleed, I was still doing a podcast, I was still posting. I wasn't pausing as I was teaching. And what if the power could be soft and sacred and cyclical? What if I could be in this very feminine power, this very gentle, flowing, easeful presence? And I didn't know what that looked like. I was still very much in hustle. I was still very much in performance. Even though I was, stepping out of this, there were a lot of pieces that still had to fall apart and really have this shadow work come through. And so this has really become the foundation of everything that I'm rebuilding. It's not just Sankalpa, it's not just my business, but it was my life. I set up this 90-day, walk into this next timeline, do this quantum leap, but I was still trying to push through and do these pieces. And so it was like, I need this foundation that is very heart-centered, very soft power, very feminine. And I'm really sharing this now, really coming back through the podcast, really coming back online, because I know I'm not the only one. I've had so many conversations in the last few months that so many women I know are, maybe they're in the middle of their own unraveling. Maybe they're rising right now from the rebel as well. Maybe they're stuck. Maybe you're stuck. Maybe this is you I'm talking to, in a role, a relationship, a rhythm that just no longer fits, an identity that just no longer is who you were, but you're scared to walk away. It is scary. And those stories we tell ourselves, our fear comes up. And the last couple of days, I've had all these fears rising, and I had to sit with it and be like, why are all these old stories I thought I had kind of worked through, why are these fears coming up? And I realized it's because I'm in this moment of like, just before the big breakthrough. I'm in that, I have a podcast on it, that messy middle, again. And we do this like cycle of like rebirth and messy middle and butterflies. Butterflies is actually a beautiful vision of this, where we're this caterpillar that then goes into its chrysalis, into its cocoon, and it's messy and sticky as we try to come out, and then we come through as this rebirth, as this phoenix, as this beautiful butterfly. And so, Mama, I see you. It's why these last 45 days especially, I've really been quietly creating something behind the scenes, something so sacred that is coming out, and it's a collaboration because I knew I wasn't meant to do it alone. And so I have this coming up. It's not released yet. I am in the process of bringing together all the beautiful presenters and speakers and magic makers that are going to put together this very beautiful retreat that is happening in September. It is virtual, so everyone can attend. It's really a remembering. It's for those mamas who are ready to break free from what no longer fits. And that's what's been brewing in me. So it was silent behind the scenes, and I want you to know it's okay. I have another podcast that's going to come out right after this one that's about the sacred rest, and how it's okay to go inwards for a while. It's okay to not be visible for a while. It's okay to be quiet for a while. And you need to do what you need. And it's okay to be in the messy middle. And it is hard. And it's okay to, burn it all down once. I've burned it down I feel like 4 or 5 times over the last, my spa closed in the end of 2022. So what does that make that? 3 years. I have burned it down so many times over the last 3 years. And every time I have that tower fall, another piece just comes so clearly through. And this time, this feels like I have let it all go. I really released this time. I really allowed every last piece of that tower I was trying to hold on to, that I was hanging so tightly. I really let it all burn. I let it all go to ash, so that this new foundation really is this foundation for maybe the rest of my life. Hopefully for the rest of my life, but maybe not. Might end up through another cycle that I burn it all down again. But it doesn't feel like that. This time feels like I am in full alignment. I am in full love. And I can't wait to share more about what's coming through and what is brewing in Sankalpa as well, because it's so beautiful who's coming together and who wants to bring their magic out to you guys in a free 3-day event as well. So I just want you to know, really, just know your voice is sacred. Your worth is not up for negotiation. Your softness is actually your strength. And your rebirth, even if you don't see it yet, is already underway. And so before we close today, I just want to offer you a reflection. What part of you is ready to rise again? It doesn't have to be this whole big, massive thing, but maybe it's just your voice. Maybe it's your joy. Maybe it's your sovereignty. Maybe it's your sexuality. Light a candle, write her name down, call her home to you. And if this episode spoke to you, send me a message over Instagram. Goddesses is where you'll find me. And I read every single one and respond to all of you. And I love hearing your stories. And we are just getting started. I'm so excited to see you soon, Sacred One. I'm so blessed and honored to be back. And I'm sending you so much sisterhood in light and so much love today. I will see you soon. Thank you so much for being here with me inside the Sacred Siren Circle, Whether you're walking through silence, rising from the ashes, or reclaiming a rhythm that's always been yours, I see you. I honor you. If this episode stirred something in you, I'd love to hear about it. You can come find me on Instagram at Sankalpa Goddesses. My DMs are always open. And if you feel called to support this sacred space, I would be so grateful if you followed the show, shared it with a sister, or left a review. Your words help this message ripple farther than you know. Oh, and just a little whisper for now. Something sacred is rising this September. I'm hosting a free 3-day virtual retreat called From Martyr to Magnetic Mama. It's for the woman who's stuck in a relationship, identity, or business that no longer fits. The woman who's afraid to leave because of money, motherhood, or not feeling enough. But who knows, deep down, she's meant for more. More voice, more worth, more sacred prosperity. We begin September 9th. You can stay in the loop and get all the details at martyrtomagneticmama.com. Until next time, remember this. Your return is sacred. Your voice is a portal. Your life is a ceremony. I'll see you next week, love, in sisterhood and light.